years. In all those years, Pat believes the most important skill that has helped her and others in everyday life is the skill of evaluation. She used to shudder when an evaluation was delivered to her. Her own evaluations of others were often whitewashes, void of any suggestions for improvement. Enter the knowledge and benefits of a good evaluation into the mix, and you bring a very important life skill. She is constantly learning new ways to recognize great skills and challenge speakers to try something new. Whether in Toastmasters, our work, or other civic life, one of the biggest challenges of being a leader is to be able to give feedback to others on their performance. Feedback involves praising others to reinforce their outstanding performance and giving critique to others to improve their performance. Often leaders are uncomfortable giving feedback. In today's presentation, Pat will blend Toastmasters International program Evaluate to Motivate with the Leadership Excellence Series topic of giving effective feedback. Kind of goes with our theme of doubling up, does it not? Evaluation is a cornerstone of what we do in Toastmasters. Without an effective evaluation, Pat asks, how would we learn to become better speakers, better communicators, or better leaders? Now, I won't even put my thunder in, but she wanted me to let everybody know she has her first great-grandniece. At 9:15 last night, and knowing Pat, she probably didn't sleep all night. Still full of high energy. So please welcome Distinguished Toastmaster and the Area 72 International Speech Champion, Pat Croal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for calling that out. Again, welcome everyone to Saturday Morning Live. How many of you are in a leadership role in your work or in your Toastmaster life or anywhere in your life? Leaders, leaders, leaders. Oh, yeah, I would bet every single one of you in some capacity are a leader. Now, this first little story is aimed at my friend William back there. Because William, have you ever seen the movie SpongeBob SquarePants, the movie? Did you see that? Well, you tell me if you remember the story, but I saw that with my nieces and nephews a few years ago, and I was the adult that decided to go with the kids rather than go to see the adult movie. And I went to see SpongeBob SquarePants. I love SpongeBob. Do you like SpongeBob, William? Yeah, I liked it, because one of the things in that movie that I learned from SpongeBob is he wanted to learn to be a manager. And I learned a lot of things from SpongeBob, how he decided to learn how to be a manager and how he acquired the skills to work with people and help them improve. So I learned a lot from that movie, and so I would suggest it to all of you, especially if you want to bring your nieces or nephews or grandkids or whatever. So I loved that movie, William. And it helped prepare me for a role that I now have in my real life. In my real life now, I serve as a manager of a hospital laboratory at Methodist Hospital. And I've been in this role for 3 months. It's a new leadership role for me, fairly new leadership role. I have a team of 40 people that report to me. And we work together to accomplish the goals of our hospital laboratory, our pathology laboratory. And I've had a challenging 3 months. I got right in the middle of a number of different, let's call them projects, places where I can help my staff learn to acquire new skills, improve skills that they have. And I've been challenged. I've been challenged to not only recognize achievement, but to recognize areas where some of the people may need to improve to help them contribute better to the team. In fact, I even had I'll call it, it's actually, we call it specifically a performance management with a colleague who happens to be a very good friend of mine, and we had it just a few days ago. Very good friend of mine who I always know to be a high achiever, that was falling down quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and it seeming to be a pattern. And it was my opportunity as a leader to call it out at the moment it was and help improve that performance. And it really ties in very nicely with what we do in Toastmasters, giving people feedback, helping them improve, helping them be the best they can be. Our theme here this year in our Saturday Morning Live Club is excellence in action. You can apply that to just about any area of life. But what I'd like to do today is talk about evaluation, why we do it, why we have it, why it's important to you and me as a speaker and both the evaluator, and how we can blend that into how we give feedback to others. And hopefully you'll see how that works in your real life. As leaders, I'm sure you all have had opportunities already to do a lot of this, so I'll look to some of you for some feedback and your experiences along the way. Now I'm going to put Tim to work. Tim, when I have a handout, I'm wondering if you could hang it up on the wall behind me. But our first topic today is the evaluation to motivate is that we all evaluate. If you could hang that up, Tim. We all evaluate. We evaluate, well, last night I evaluated, in some sense, the people who helped take care of my niece. The doctor did fabulous, the nurses did fabulous, and a couple of other people there thought could have used a little bit of push, but, that's just me being nervous. But at the same time, we all evaluate. We evaluate our movies that we see. We evaluate each other oftentimes. We evaluate all things around us. So the skill of evaluation is a life skill. Not only to help improve performance in others, but to improve our surroundings and make it better. So we all evaluate. There are many benefits to evaluations, both to the speaker and to the person delivering an evaluation. So whether you are a new Toastmaster or an experienced Toastmaster, you've never been here before, right?
No, I haven't.
So you've never been to Toastmasters. Think about the benefits it might be to the person delivering the evaluation. The person that's the evaluator. And I'm going to ask you for some feedback. So Tim, if you could hang this up, and I'm going to have you go up and down. So think about that, the benefits to the evaluator. When you are giving the feedback to somebody, what are your benefits? What are some of the benefits that you might see as a good thing, a skill that you might acquire? Anybody help me out there? What's the benefit that you might to giving people feedback? Dave.
I've often had the experience that I described as follows. I didn't know what I thought until I heard myself saying it. You see somebody else doing something that could be done better some other way, and quite often that observation is coming from your own remembrance that you had that opportunity sometime before and you didn't do it, and now you say, "Oh yes, I see now how I could
So
have
it
done
jars
it."
something in your mind.
But you don't even realize it until you hear yourself saying it.
Okay, yeah. So that benefit to an evaluator. Tim.
Become better listeners.
Become better listeners. Listen to something very specific. Today, as an evaluator, I asked my team to look for something specific. And so those evaluators are going to be listening for some of the things I asked them to look for. Excellent. And one more benefit to an evaluator out there. Can anybody think about evaluator or think of yourself as a manager? What benefit might you have as the manager or as the evaluator giving people feedback?
It's a way to connect with other people.
Excellent.
On the same level.
Connect,
or
relate.
Yeah.
Really. And in the end, as an evaluator, you're helping motivate performance, whether it's in the speaker, your staff, in the big picture. So think about that. So whether it's the performance around you or the performance of a team, it really does help motivate performance and improve performance. Well, one of the biggest reasons we do evaluations in Toastmasters is to give benefits to the speaker. Now, as a speaker in Toastmasters, when I first joined Toastmasters many years ago, I didn't necessarily know I had the fear of public speaking, and I had a lot of blind spots about what my performance was and how I even was as a speaker. I had no experience really in public speaking at all, until an evaluator stood up and told me what I did really well and some of the ways that I could improve. So there are many benefits to a speaker in getting the evaluation. So help me out. What do you think are some of the benefits to a speaker during an evaluation? Nate.
Hearing new perspectives on their speech.
New perspective, something you've never heard before. Excellent. Any other benefits to the speaker?
ideas about ways to improve.
Right. If you don't hear it, how do you improve? That's right. So this is the place that oftentimes I know in work life, sometimes people might not be so skilled at giving that feedback. If you don't ever hear it, you don't ever know.
Sometimes feedback isn't feedback at all. It's somebody blurts out, well, you did that wrong, but they aren't willing to
Tell you.
expound.
Exactly.
And that's not feedback.
And to know the information is valuable. Barbara.
Sometimes it's very helpful to learn what your strengths are if you don't already know.
Absolutely. It boosts improves your what's the word I'm looking for?
Self-esteem?
Self-esteem. Absolutely. I was going to say confidence. Confidence, self-esteem, so that you go into it and you know what you do well. Fabulous. Any more benefits that you can think of to the speaker during an evaluation? Okay, well, excellent. Those are all excellent. Well, and when we get into an evaluation, when we are giving people feedback, there are good ways to talk to somebody and really to give that feedback. So our next topic that we're going to talk about is the language of the evaluator. What kinds of things do you say to someone when you're giving them feedback, and how do you address that? So our next topic is the language of the evaluator. And Tim, if you can hang this up. Oh, you're doing such a fabulous job. The language of the evaluator. Now, when I'm giving you feedback about your speech and how you've done that, or if I'm the manager and I'm giving you feedback on your performance, what you're doing well, what could be improved, there is a great way to get somebody to improve their performance. Can anybody give me a suggestion on what your language might sound like if you were the one giving the feedback?
Something actionable.
Actionable. And give a suggestion.
Instead of just saying, I didn't like this, or that was wrong, just saying what you can do better and how to do it better.
Something very specific. And we're going to get into very specific feedback later, but that's right. So I'm talking to you and I'm giving you something very specific and actionable. Fabulous. People don't know unless they know. Any other suggestions on how you might address some feedback to the speaker? I'll tip that out of the can a little bit. It's using phrases from your perspective. And what I mean there is, in my mind, I think that you can improve this behavior as a speaker by shortening up the content of your speech so that you don't have so much information. It appeared to me. So really you're speaking from your perspective. So that people understand this is your information. It doesn't make you the end-all, the person that's the expert here, but it really makes it, you're speaking from your perspective so that somebody doesn't hear from you they hear from you the very specific feedback from you. If you're the manager, oftentimes if it's a performance management, somebody has to change their behavior to keep their job, it might be something even more specific. But really, it's your perspective, it's your thoughts. So it's, again, using I language, using it appeared to me, it seemed to me, I thought, I felt, whatever you can do to interject an I statement rather than a you statement or a general all statement. That really helps me go into some language to avoid when you're giving feedback to people. What are some bits of feedback language that it's good to avoid when you're giving people feedback? Any suggestions? Things that you've heard perhaps that you think could be improved upon, words, feedback to avoid?
You should. You could.
Should. The should word. You should do this. And what was the second thing you said, Bobby?
You could.
You could. Now, could's probably better than should. And, I think whenever I hear the word should, I always remember a speech that Nate gave. What's that line, Nate? Acid rain of whatever. He had it in a humorous speech at one time. But using should. You should do this. You should do that. You should. And really, there's also generalized comments. All speakers do this. Good speakers do this. So staying away from those generalized comments, judgmental comments that might picture something in someone's mind. Really, most people, performance-related, whether a speaker, an employee, or a team member for whatever we're doing, they're looking at how they can improve within their realm. They can shoot for the top, and they can shoot for beating Tim out for the best sales goal of the year. That's great. But as far as performance, you're really challenging them to perform in their comfort zone. So really staying away from the you should, you could, well, you could say you could. Staying away from those generalized comments. So that actually will help a speaker perform. What are some things that, as an evaluator, especially